Current Affairs for Beginners. Let's start our today's session. These are the topics that we are going to cover in detail in our today's video, and the link for the notes of this video is already available in the description below. It's available in both PDF as well as in document format. You can download it from here. Our first article is Supreme Court after poll panel, Council says it is powerless. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of polity. The Supreme Court gave 24 hours time for the Election Commission to explain its powers. From the prelims point of view, here we should know about this Election Commission of India. The Election Commission of India is an autonomous, permanent, constitutional authority under Article 324 of the Indian Constitution, and it is responsible for administering the union as well as state election processes in the country. And it administers elections to Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, state legislative assemblies in India, and the offices of President as well as Vice President in the country. This is very important. Then, what is the objective of this Election Commission? To ensure free and fair conduct of elections in the country. Then what is this Election Commission composed of? The Election Commission of India consists of 3 members. Out of the 3, it has a Chief Election Commissioner and 2 Election Commissioners. And these people will be chosen by the President of India. They are appointed by the President of India. The CEC as well as the other election commissioners, they receive equal salary and they have equal power, which is equal to that of a judge of Supreme Court. The Chief Election Commissioner will be removed from his office only through the impeachment process by the Parliament. Then how do they take the decision? Here they have 3 members. Then how are they going to take the decision? In case of any difference of opinion among the CEC and the 2 other election commissioners, then the matter will be decided by the commission through majority. And what is the tenure? All the election commissioners will serve a 6-year term or until they attain the age of 65 years. Even this is important. 6 year or until they attain the age of 65 years, whichever is earlier. Now let's see what are the functions of this election commission. Election Commission is responsible for preparing the electoral rolls and requisition of staff when it is required, and it appoints the election observers, and it plans the election schedule, and it plays a quasi-judicial role. Here the Election Commission has advisory role as well as quasi-judiciary role. Advisory role in matters that are related to disqualification of the sitting members of Parliament, and here you can see disqualification of the candidate and state legislature. Here, if a person is found guilty for any corrupt practice during elections, then the commission will tell its opinion whether that person has to be disqualified or not to either the Supreme Court or the High Court. Here, the opinion of this election commission is binding on the president or the governor, and the commission has a power to disqualify a candidate if the candidate fails to provide the account of his election expenses, how much he had spent within the election during the election within the time. Then Election Commission has the power to disqualify that person, and it also has the power for removing or reducing the period of the disqualification. Next, it enforces the model code of conduct, it conducts the elections, it can cancel the election, it observes the political parties, it provides information to the media. What is this providing information? The representatives of media were allowed to enter into the polling stations and counting centers with the authority letters provided by the commission. And the commission also publishes some statistical reports and documents in the public domain. Next, it provides voter education. Recently, there is an initiative by the Election Commission, that is SWEEP, through which it is going to provide awareness regarding voting system, regarding this EVMs, regarding this vote to the public. and international cooperation. Here, our election commission will share experiences and expertise in the areas of electoral management and administration, electoral laws and reforms in other countries. Now let's try to answer some of the previous year questions. The first one is the question that appeared in 2004. Superintendence, direction and conduct of free and fair election, preparation of electoral rolls for all elections to the parliament, state legislature and the office of president and vice president, giving recognition to political parties, allotting election symbols to political parties and individual contesting the election, proclamation of final verdict in case of election disputes. The fourth statement is incorrect because just now we have seen that the final verdict in case of election disputes is with the Supreme Court, not with the Election Commission of India, but it will give advices. So as only 1, 2 and 3 are correct, the answer here is A. Consider the following statements with reference to India. The CEC and other election commissioners enjoy equal powers but receive unequal salaries. This is incorrect. Just now we have seen they have equal power and also receive equal salary. The CEC is entitled to the same salary as it is provided to the judge of Supreme Court. Yes, the CEC shall not be removed from his office except in the manner on or like on the grounds as a judge of Supreme Court. Yes, and the term of office of the election commissioner is 5 years from the date he assumes the office or until he attains the age of 65 years. It is not 62 but it is 65 years. So as 1 and 4 are correct, the answer here is B, 2 and 3 only. The next question is, which one of the following is correct in respect to the commencement of election process in India? The recommendation for election is made by the government and the notification for election will be issued by the Election Commission. Yes, the recommendation for election is made by the Election Commission and notification will be issued by the Home Ministry. No, this is incorrect. The recommendation will be made by the government. Recommendation for election is made by the Election Commission and notification issued by President and Governors. No, both the exercise of making recommendation and issuing notification is done by Election Commission. This is incorrect. The government will recommend election and it will be notified by the Election Commission. So the answer here is A. Which of the following is correct about CEC? He holds the office until he attains the age of 65 years. All the responsibilities regarding elections in India are entrusted to the Chief Election Commissioner. The next article is Withervan of Democracy. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of polity. Here the entire article is talking about the Model Code of Conduct. What is this Model Code of Conduct? Model Code of Conduct is nothing but the guidelines for the candidates who are contesting and the political parties. So what they should do and what they shouldn't do during the election campaign. These are nothing but the guidelines for political parties as well as the candidates, what they should do and shouldn't do during the election campaign. And this Model Code of Conduct is given in the areas of how their general conduct should be and how they should behave during meetings, during processions and on polling day, during polling booth, and how they should behave with the observers and how a party in power should behave and what should be included in their election manifesto. These are all the guidelines related to these areas. The next article is Slowing Down Fast. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of economy. Here the industrial growth has declined to 0.1% in February, but the retail inflation rate, that is the CPI, has increased to 0.66% due to fuel and food prices, increase in the fuel and food prices. So from the prelims point of view, in this article there is a mention of index of industrial production, purchasing managers index, consumer price index, as well as a term known as monetary easing. We'll see what are all these in detail. What is this index of industrial production? It is an indicator of industrial growth and it will help us to understand the growth of various sectors in the Indian economy. It will provide a figure to measure what is the level of industrial activity in the economy on a monthly basis. It will be provided on a monthly basis. What are all the sectors it covers? It covers manufacturing, mining and electricity. and it calculates the performance of these sectors based on the year 2011 and 12, and it is released by the Central Statistics Office of the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. This is important. When it will be published? It is published monthly, 6 weeks after the reference month ends, and this consists of 407 items. These are the groups, 407 groups it measures, and out of which it contains 865 items, of which it is divided between manufacturing, mining and electricity. And these are the weights that were assigned to these sectors, of which the manufacturing sector is having the highest weight. And in this group itself, out of these 865 items, there were also core sectors. What are these core sectors? These are like a backbone to our Indian economy. There are 8 core industries in our country. They are refinery products, electricity, steel, coal, crude oil, natural gas, cement and fertilizers. All these core sectors account for 40.27% in this index of industrial production. Now let us see some of the previous year prelims questions regarding this. The first question is, in India, in the overall index of IIP, the indices of 8 core industries have a combined weight of 37.9%. But now it is 40.27%. Which of the following are among those 8 core industries? Cement, fertilizers, natural products, refinery products, textiles. Just now we have seen them. No, textiles is not a core sector. So we can eliminate the option 5, of which the answer here is C. In the index of 8 core industries, which one of the following is given the highest weight? Here, this is very important to know the weights of these core sectors. At present, the refinery products is having the highest weight. It is around 28.04%. In 2015, it is electricity that is having the highest weight, but now it is the refinery products. But comparing to these 4, coal, electricity, fertilizer and steel production, yes, electricity is having the highest weight next to refinery products. And that is, electricity is having 19.85%, whereas it is followed by steel. Steel is around 17.92% and it is followed by coal. It is 8.98%, and the fertilizer, which is around 2.63%. The next thing is Purchasing Managers Index or PMI. It is an indicator of economic health and investor sentiments regarding manufacturing and service sectors. If this PMI index is above 50 points, then there is an economic expansion. If it is below 50 points, there is an economic contraction. This index will be calculated separately for both manufacturing and service sectors. And how this index will be calculated? Based on 5 indicators: new orders, inventory levels, production, supplier deliveries and employment environment. This is very important. There could be a possibility of asking based on which of the following indicators the Purchasing Managers Index will be calculated: new orders, inventory levels, production, supplier deliveries and employment environment. And it is published by a Japanese firm Nikkei, but it is compiled and constructed by Market Economics, and it is based on the monthly survey of carefully selected companies. See, what they will do here is they will conduct a survey. This is nothing but a survey. Purchasing Manager Index means. So it will give these 5 indicators and it will ask those questions regarding this, how it is being performed, and this will provide information about the current business conditions to the decision makers of the companies as well as the purchasing managers. The next thing is Consumer Price Index. It is a measure of change in general level of prices of both goods and services that the households will purchase in order to consume. It is nothing but how the prices of these goods and services were changing. This is measured by the consumer price index. How it will measure them? It will have a basket of goods and services, and this basket includes 448 items for rural areas and 460 items for urban areas. And these goods and services were compiled into these groups like food and beverages, housing, apparel, transportation, medical care, recreation, education and communication. Why the CPI will be calculated? It is an indicator of inflation. What is inflation? It is general level of rise in prices of both goods and services. So if here, what is our CPI? It is measuring how the prices are changing, whether they are increasing or decreasing. It will be measured by CPI. So by this we can measure what is inflation, what is the situation of inflation. So that it acts as a tool for both governments and central banks to target the inflation, to set the inflation target. And it provides for monitoring the price stability, and it helps in calculating the dearness allowance. If there is increase in the prices, then the government employees will be provided with extra income, that is known as dearness allowance. Who releases this? This is important. The Central Statistics Office, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation releases this, and the base year is 2012, and there is a proposal to change this base year to 2018. Once it is changed, we will update. But right now it is 2012 only. And our India is adopting 4 indices of this consumer price index. One is industrial workers, one is urban non-manual employees, agricultural labor and rural workers. Who publishes all these? It is the Labour Bureau, Ministry of Labour and Employment. But I said that it is released by CSO. Individually will be published by Ministry of Labour and Employment, but the combined overall will be released by this CSO, Central Statistics Office. The next thing is monetary easing. What is meant by this concept called as monetary easing? This is also known as quantitative easing. This is a monetary policy. This is not a traditional monetary policy, but it is an unconventional monetary policy in which the central bank will purchase the government securities from the market in order to reduce the interest rates and increase money supply. In order to increase the money supply, the central bank will purchase the government securities from the market. To put it simply, by doing so, central bank is purchasing lots of assets or bonds from the market, so that if it is purchasing, it has to supply the money into the banking system. So what will happen? When the banks were flooded with lot of capital, it will reduce the interest rates so that it will increase the lending. People will borrow more and people will have more money in their hands, which will lead to consumption, and they will invest in the businesses and leads to economic growth. This is known as monetary easing or quantitative easing. The next article is wholesale price inflation spikes to 3.18%. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of economy. The wholesale price inflation has increased to 3.18% in March. This rise is attributed to high food and fuel prices. So now let us see what is this wholesale price index. Just now we have seen about CPI, consumer price index, whereas this WPI, it will track what are the changes in prices of only goods, not services, in the first stage of transaction. That is when it is not when it is being sold to the consumer, but when the goods are sold in bulk. That is when they are sold in bulk between different organizations. Then that is at the producer level, not at the consumer level. And this basket covers the goods like primary articles, fuel and power, manufactured products. And you have to remember here, it will not cover the services like CPI. It will only cover goods. and it is published by the Office of Economic Advisor, whereas our CPI is published by CSO, Central Statistics Office. Now let's see the difference between these two ones. Here, WPI amounts to average change in the prices of commodities at wholesale level, that is at the producer level, whereas CPI indicates change in the prices of commodities at retail level, that means at the consumer level. It is published by Office of Economic Advisor, it is published by CSO. Here it measures the inflation at the first stage of transaction. It is done at the final stage, and it covers only goods, it covers both goods and services. Here the prices of the goods that are traded between the houses, between different organizations. Here it is based on the prices of the goods purchased by the consumers. And one thing I forgot to mention here is when the data will be published. For these primary articles and fuel and power, this data will be published weekly, and for others it will be published monthly, whereas CPI is published only on a monthly basis, not on weekly basis. Now let's see a previous year prelims question. With reference to India, consider the following statements. The wholesale price index in India is available on a monthly basis only. No, it is available on weekly basis also for primary articles and fuel and power. Compared to CPI for industrial workers, WPI gives less weight to food articles. Yes, WPI gives less weight to food articles comparing to CPI. Only second statement is correct. The answer here is B. Now let's see the next article, the road to Kashmir. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of polity and governance. Post Pulwama attack, the Kashmir government has blocked the highway that is linking Udhampur in Jammu to Baramulla in Kashmir, which created trouble to the citizens. So in this article there is mention of a Human Rights Commission. Now let us see what is this Human Rights Commission. This National Human Rights Commission of India was established under an act known as Protection of Human Rights Act of 1993, but it has got amended in 2006. First we should know what are these human rights. According to this Protection of Human Rights Act, human rights are the rights that are related to life, liberty, equality and dignity of an individual. And these are the rights that are guaranteed by the Constitution or that are embodied in the international covenants. And these rights should be enforceable by the courts in India. Those rights are known as human rights according to Protection of Human Rights Act of 2006. Now, we are saying that we had a National Human Rights Commission. Then what it is composed of? It consists of a chairperson, and it has 4 full-time members and 4 deemed members. Who are they? 1 member, he has to be the judge of Supreme Court of India, and the other member who is the CJI of High Court, and 2 members who are having knowledge or practical experience in matters related to human rights. These are the 4 full-time members. And who are the 4 deemed members? They are the chairpersons of National Commission of Minority, National Commission for Scheduled Castes, National Commission for Scheduled Tribes and National Commission for Women. The chairpersons of these commissions will be the 4 deemed members of National Human Rights Commission. Then who appoints them? The chairman as well as members are appointed by the President based on the recommendations of a committee that consists of Prime Minister, Home Minister, Leader of Opposition in Lok Sabha, Leader of Opposition in Rajya Sabha, the Speaker of Lok Sabha and also the Deputy Chairman of Rajya Sabha. All these people will recommend a name to the President who will appoint them as a chairperson or a member of the NHRC. Then what is their tenure? The chairman and the members, they can hold the office for a term of 5 years or 70 years, whichever is earlier. Do remember this. Are they eligible for reappointment? No. They are not eligible for any employment under central or state government after their tenure, and they can be removed only on the grounds of proved misbehavior or incapacity. and the president has to refer this matter of removal to the Supreme Court, and after inquiry, if Supreme Court finds that the charge imposed on the member is correct, then the member will be removed by the President of India. Now, we have seen the basic details of this NHRC. What does this NHRC do? It can conduct investigations through a petition or by itself, that is suo motu. The purpose of NHRC is suo motu, or through petition they can investigate the cases if there is any violation of human rights, and it has the powers of a civil court, and it has authority to grant interim relief and recommend the compensation, but its recommendations are only advisory in nature but not binding. The next article is, we will support any government which fulfills Odisha's demands. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of social justice. From this article there is a mention of a scheme known as KALIA Scheme. This is a scheme that was launched by the Odisha government for farmers' welfare. How it is going to provide farmers' welfare? By accelerating agricultural prosperity and eliminating poverty. How it is going to do that? And what is this KALIA scheme? Krushak Assistance for Livelihood and Income Guarantee Scheme. So through this scheme they are going to provide a package for the farmers to increase agricultural prosperity and eliminate poverty. It will provide financial, livelihood, cultivation support along with insurance to small, marginal and landless farmers. Yesterday we have seen about Pradhan Mantri Kisan Samman Nidhi Yojana, where that is going to provide support for land holding farmers who are having a cultivable land up to 2 hectares, whereas here it is different. It is for small, marginal and landless farmers. Here you can see the beneficiaries are small and marginal farmers, landless agricultural households, vulnerable agricultural households, landless agricultural laborers, sharecroppers or actual cultivators. Now, these are all the beneficiaries, and they will be provided with 25,000 per farm family to small and marginal farmers in order to purchase seeds, fertilizers, pesticides, and they can use this for hiring the labor. And every landless agricultural household will be provided with 12,500 rupees for like goat rearing, poultry units, fishery kits for fishermen, mushroom cultivation, for all this. Whereas what about these vulnerable and landless agricultural laborers? They will get financial assistance of 10,000 rupees per family, and a crop loan, interest-free crop loan, 0% interest, up to 50,000 rupees will be provided, and the people will be covered with life insurance of up to 2 lakh rupees and with a premium of just 330 rupees to all the saving bank account holders who were aged between 18 to 50 years. The next article is more GSLV launch vehicles in the offing. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of science and technology. Here the Union Cabinet has approved the GSLV continuation program 4th phase, which consists of 5 GSLV flights during 2021 to 2024. Here we should know what is this GSLV continuation program. This program was started in 2003. Till now 2 phases have got completed, and now the 3rd phase is in progress, and it will be finished by 2021, and from then the 4th phase will start. Why this was started? This GSLV has made India self-reliant. We don't have to depend on other countries to launch 2-ton class of satellites like INSAT and GSAT into geosynchronous transfer orbits, and these are the satellites used for communication and meteorological applications. So we need not depend on other countries. Usage of this GSLV has made India self-reliant. That's why this program was started, in order to continue our self-reliance, to launch similar satellites for our national requirements like navigation satellites, relay communication satellites, interplanetary missions, along with this communication and meteorological satellites. The next article is monsoon likely to be normal this year, says Meteorological Department. This article comes under GS paper 1 under the topic of geography. Here the IMD, Indian Meteorological Department, has said that this year the monsoon is going to be normal. And from the prelims point of view, we should know what is this IMD and the El Nino concept that is mentioned in the news. Regarding this El Nino concept, I am not going to explain in detail because in detail very clearly we have explained in our 26th February core video. Please look into it and also look into our core notes where this concept was explained in detail. Now let us see about this IMD. This is established in 1875. It is a national meteorological service and a principal agency for our India with regard to the matters like seismology, that is study of earthquakes, meteorology and other subjects. And this functions under the Ministry of Earth Sciences under the Government of India. What does it do? It will provide the information for weather sensitive activities like shipping, agriculture, fishing, oil exploration and industries. And it will warn against severe weather conditions like cyclone, dust storms, heavy rainfall, cold, heat waves that will cause huge destruction to life and property. And it will detect and locate the earthquakes to evaluate the seismicity in different parts of the country for development projects. The next article is China ready to wait for India's BRI participation. This article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of international relations. Here in the next month, Belt and Road Forum is going to happen where India is not going to participate in it. So from the prelims point of view, there are two things here: Belt and Road Initiative and China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. Let us see what are these. Belt and Road Initiative is a Chinese foreign policy that is promoted by the President Xi Jinping in 2013. So initially the idea is two things. One is the Silk Road Economic Belt and Maritime Silk Road. These two were put forward. Later these two were combined and now called as One Belt One Road. Later this is renamed as Belt and Road Initiative. The aim of this initiative is to build trade, investment and infrastructure network by connecting Asia with Europe and Africa along the ancient trade routes. Then what is this China-Pakistan Economic Corridor? This is a project under this Belt and Road Initiative. So this project will connect the Gadar port in Pakistan with China's ancient trading town known as Kashgar, and this corridor will pass through Pakistan occupied Kashmir. And these projects are here. This economic corridor will be based on these projects: energy products, transport infrastructure, Gadar port and industrial corporation. Now let's try to answer a previous year question. This question appeared in 2016 prelims. Belt and Road Initiative is sometimes mentioned in the news in the context of the affairs of China. The next article is China is using artificial intelligence to profile Uighur Muslims. Here the Chinese government is using artificial intelligence to recognize the identity of an ethnic minority, Muslim ethnic minority known as Uyghurs in the Xinjiang province of China. See, this article comes under GS paper 2 under the topic of international relations. We should know who are these Uighur Muslims. And we have been seeing the questions related to these things like who are Rohingyas, they belong to which country. Some of the terms that are recently seen in news and the country related to that term. So now Uighur Muslims, they belong to this Xinjiang province of China. These are a Muslim ethnic community. They are mostly based in China's Xinjiang province. They are around 45% of the population in this province. China fears them because these groups are seeking for an independent state, and China fears that they are being backed by the separatist movement, separatists in places like Pakistan, due to their cultural ties with the neighboring countries. So from the prelims point of view, just know who are these Uighur Muslims and where do they belong to. The next article is portal open for financial year GST audit reports. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of economy. Here the portal was ready for filing GST audit returns. From this article, here there is mention of a term known as GST Network. What is this GST Network? It is a non-government private limited company that is established under Section 8 of Companies Act. For what it is established? To provide IT infrastructure and services to central and state governments as well as taxpayers and other stakeholders for implementing the goods and services tax. And the authorized capital for this company is 10 crore rupees. And this 10 crore rupees was divided among the Government of India holds 24.5%, whereas states of Indian Union including National Capital Territory of Delhi, Puducherry and the Empowered Committee of State Finance Ministers, they comprise 24.5%. So from the government side it holds 49% shares and balance 51% is with the non-government financial institutions. That means private banks hold this 51% shares. And what will this GST network do? It will manage the entire IT system of GST portal. This portal will be used by the government to track all the financial transactions and will provide the taxpayers with all the services. Here the taxpayers can register to file the taxes and maintain all the tax details. It will act as a uniform interface, that it is the area where the taxpayer can register and file his taxes, and it is a common platform and shared IT infrastructure between the center and states. This GST network will handle invoices, various returns, registrations, payments and refunds. The next article is first 3D printed heart has human cells and vessels. This article comes under GS paper 3 under the topic of science and technology. Here the Israeli scientists, they had made a 3D printed heart with human tissue and vessels. So from the prelims point of view, we should know what is this 3D printing. 3D printing is also known as additive manufacturing. It is a process of joining the materials to make objects from a 3D model data. We know printer. From a printer we can get only a 2D print, but this printer will give out as an output of 3D object. How we will get it? Let us see. But the first working 3D printer was created in 1984 by Charles W. Hull of 3D Systems Corporation. Now let's see how the 3D printer works. What is the process? This will start by making a virtual design. There will be a software known as KALIA. In that KALIA, we can design an object. So this is a software based program. So once it is done, this 3D digital copy will be put into a 3D modeling program. Then it will be sliced. Here you can see it is sliced. This file will be uploaded into this printer, which will create this object layer by layer. Now what are the applications of this 3D printing? They can be used in defense and aerospace, health, in making food, toys, manufacturing, architecture and in so many areas. Now let's see a question that appeared in 2018 prelims. 3D printing has application in which of the following? Preparation of confectionery items, manufacture of bionic ears, automotive industry, reconstructive surgeries, data processing technologies. All are correct. In all these areas 3D printing can be applied. And there is also a mains question that appeared in 2013. How does the 3D printing technology work? List out the advantages and disadvantages of this technology. The next article is Joy at the Beach. Yesterday it is the Kerala's New Year and it is known as Vishu. and this comes under GS paper 1 under the topic of culture. Here I have given the names of some of the states' New Years. Ugadi celebrated by AP, Telangana and Karnataka, Gudi Padwa by Maharashtrians, Baisakhi in Punjab, Puttandu in Tamil Nadu, Bohag Bihu in Assam, Pohela Baisak in West Bengal, Varis in Gujarat, Lasung in Sikkim, Navre in Kashmir and Cheti Chand in Sindh region. Now, this is for all the crazy cricket fans. The BCCI has announced the 14-member squad for 2019 World Cup. It's disappointing time for Ambati Rayudu and Rishabh Pant. They couldn't find the place in the team. It's a celebration moment for Vijay Shankar and Dinesh Karthik. The team includes 2 wrist spinners Chahal and Kuldeep Yadav and 3 seamers Bhuvaneshwar Kumar, Bumrah and Shami. This is all for today. Now let's see our today's practice questions. Which of the following refers to monetary or quantitative easing? And the next question is, how is consumer price index different from wholesale price index? Try to answer these questions and post your answers in the comment box. In tomorrow's video, we'll see a detailed explanation for these questions. And the link for this notes is already available in the description below. You can download it from there. Thank you.